option to leave
Well, don't do
before it
that.
starts recording. I won't. I'll stay.
I made an Instagram page today.
You did? I need to follow it.
So
What'd you end up naming this podcast?
it's called Aspiring Adult.
I love the intro photo. I'm ready. Do you like my background? It's my view.
The city. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be too dark for me to sit here and for you to be able to see it, but I think it's good. You have to do your intro.
Do the intro while you're on, or
do you want me to log back in?
No.
Okay.
I want you to stay on. Thanks for tuning in to Aspiring Adult. I want to welcome a very dear friend of mine, a girl boss biomedical engineer who lives in Chicago, and her name is Kenzie. Kenzie, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited. So Kenzie is my first interview that I've ever done with somebody for this podcast. So very excited to have her as my first guest.
It's going to be great. It's going to go very smoothly.
It already has, considering all the amount of technical difficulties that I've experienced.
I know, that's true.
So we'll get started here. Kenzie was born and raised in Chicago. No surprise that she moved back there after graduating from Miami. I guess a little bit about your college career and then ultimately why you decided to go to Ohio and then back to Chicago.
Well, that's a great question. I, like you said, born and raised in Chicago, the suburbs, so like 20 miles north of the city. So not technically from the city, from the suburbs nearby. And why I chose to go to Ohio, that was a surprise to me, honestly. I did not think I was going to end up there, did not want to go to Miami University. My mom actually was the one who suggested that we visit. I have an older sister and one of her best friends went to school there. And so she was someone to visit. And I knew, on my list of things that I wanted was a smaller to medium-sized school. I wanted to go into engineering. Miami had engineering. I wanted to be in like a college town. So we went and tried it. And to my surprise, I just absolutely loved it. It was just this cute and beautiful town and school out of the middle of nowhere, just so unexpected. And I had the best time visiting. I visited twice actually before I decided to commit. But the second time I visited, I knew for sure I was going to commit. That was at the Make It Miami day. So
it's so funny because I feel like everybody that went to Miami wasn't like their first choice school.
No, not at all.
Everyone's like, oh yeah, I ended up just going here because it was easy or because it ultimately ended up being an okay school in comparison. It wasn't too far from home. I don't think Miami was anybody's.
It's not a lot of number ones because I feel like it's just, you have to go there to get the charm and understand what it's like. I mean, people that haven't visited just don't know what it's like. And I have no regrets. I loved it so much, but did not think I was going to end up there. So of course my mom was right. That's the whole point of the story, that she knew that I was going to like it there. And so I ended up going there and never wanted to stay. I mean, it's, what it's like. It's not a place that you're going to get a job after school and, work. I wanted to get back to a city. I knew that for sure. I wanted to be in Chicago. My family's here for the most part, at least. And all my friends from high school moved back. And so I knew a lot of people and I knew that I would be able to find a job here in my field. That's how I ended up back.
Miami is so targeted towards jobs in Columbus and Cleveland, and it's so hard to get out of Ohio once you're already there.
So true.
How much work did you really put into finding a job in Chicago?
So much work. You know the answer to that because you did not stay in Ohio either. Yeah,
Nope.
I mean, it's very difficult. I will say I loved Miami. I had a great experience, learned a lot, thought that my professors were great for the most part, but they did not help me get a job. The school did not help me get a job whatsoever. Career fairs every year kind of blew, to be honest. Not very helpful, mostly in Ohio, or targeted towards business students. So it was not very helpful for those of us in engineering, besides the couple hours of one day that we got. I think our last 2 years, they finally did a STEM career fair.
But even like that, it was kind of half-assed, and
exactly
all the companies
it was all
that were there
work
were
on your own.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So I did all of the research on my own I was on every like career website, LinkedIn, like ZipRecruiter, you name it.
Hmm.
And I found my job, my first job, if we want to go there. I did have a different job originally. Found that I got an interview through LinkedIn with a company that was actually in Chicago, and I did not get that job, but they liked me and suggested that I work for this guy that was interviewing me, his previous company. So he ended up connecting me there. So I didn't find that one online. That was through a connection there. And then worked that job for a few months online virtually. And then I found a job that was actually based in Chicago. That was also through LinkedIn, and someone had reached out to me. So that was great because it made it a little bit easier. But I was looking for a long time to switch jobs to something that was based in Chicago by myself. That was all just on career sites of companies that I liked, or like a big site like LinkedIn where it was easy to find a lot of
Right.
companies were hiring in the area and the field I wanted. So yeah, took a lot of individual research and time out of my
Yeah, honestly,
work
like
day.
job searching becomes a full-time job when all you want to do is just find a full-time job. Especially
Exactly.
when you have a job and you're like not content with where you're at and you're looking for a job while you have a job and
Yeah,
you're
it wasn't
kind
a
of,
great situation.
yep,
I
yep.
also it was hard to figure out when I could interview because I didn't want to
Yep.
let my current company know. It was a great company. I just didn't enjoy the work. It wasn't where I wanted to be ultimately. So that's why I ended up finding a new job. But like people were great. Everybody was super friendly
Right.
and nice there. It just wasn't for me. So I didn't want to be obnoxious and interview during the workday when I was supposed to be working. So I had to figure all that out and,
Right.
work
Right.
around it.
So then once you figured out you were going to Chicago, how
Mhm.
did you know what neighborhood you wanted to live in? Because I don't know if you want to share what neighborhood you do live in. How many
Mhm.
neighborhoods are there? And
There's a
how,
ton.
yeah, exactly. And how did you know that Gold Coast is where you wanted to live?
That's a good question. I didn't know really, like there wasn't a singular one that I wanted to be in, but I had a few in mind. My roommate and I live with one other person. So we have a 2 bed, 2 bath, which is perfect. We didn't really know. We had like 3 areas that we were looking at in the city.
Mhm.
So we knew we wanted to be in one of those spots, but we didn't have a preference. We found or discovered that we wanted to live in those like certain areas. So we were looking in like River North, Gold Coast, and like Old Town area because a lot of our friends actually had moved before us. I moved in at like the end of November. So a lot of my friends were actually already in the area. And so I was familiar with where they were in River North
So
or in Old
those
Town.
areas, are there like certain stereotypes that are associated with them? Like I know in Boston, it's very like every neighborhood has a stereotype. Like Southie is people that still think that they live in college. Like Seaport is financial bros. Back Bay is also like financial bros that have girlfriends now. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like all these places have stereotypes, and they assume that the ones in Chicago do.
I don't know actually. I'm sure that there are, but I feel like in my area, it's definitely not still like college. That
Mhm.
would be more of like the like
Wrigleyville.
northern parts of the city. Yeah, like a little bit more over that in that area. I feel like a lot of kids that graduate college move there. This like where I'm at downtown is a mix of like even my building is a mix of people
Mhm.
that recently graduated all the way up to like people who are retired. So
Yep.
it's definitely a mix, but I think you can find younger areas like the further north you go.
Explain your building setup because obviously I know what it looks like because I've been there.
Okay, well, my building's great and I love it. And my roommate and I decided that we wanted to be in Gold Coast after we found out about like this building, this unit that was available because we loved the location. Like, we just loved that it was near a bunch of, I mean, it has everything near like the grocery stores, it has restaurants, it has a bunch of like shopping and everything. So, everything was just like walkable in this area and so we really just loved the spot and that's why we decided to move to Gold Coast. But
Mhm.
building is a high rise, but it is, I think the max is like our top floor is 35. There are 35 floors. When you're in the lobby, like you go up to, I think that we have the first like 5 floors are businesses. I think there's like a dentist office, there's like cleaners, there's a bunch of that. And then 6th floor is our like outdoor deck which we don't have a pool, but we have a water feature out there and a really beautiful deck. So I'm excited to sit
That's a
there in the
water
summer.
feature, like a
Yeah,
splash
not a
pad.
pool. It's like a kind of like a it's like a water fountain almost, if they call it a water feature.
A water feature.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's a little bit nicer than a just a fountain. It looks like it could be a pool, but it's not deep enough. So it's just a water feature. But that's out there on the sixth floor with like a hangout room and coffee machines. They also have rooms that you can just go like study or work in, which is really nice. A gym is on the sixth floor. And then after the sixth floor is like all of the residential units.
So would you consider your apartment a luxury apartment, or is this kind of like a standard apartment for Chicago?
I would say it's a luxury apartment. I think you can definitely find apartments that like, I don't know if this would be standard. I think for the ones that my roommate and I were looking at, it was pretty standard compared to those. It depends on the setup because there are so many different places to live in here because there are obviously high rises, like that's Chicago. A lot of people live in walk-ups. And so those look very different. And just some buildings are remodeled. Like my building's very old, but the interior has been remodeled in the last 5 years or so. So I would say like that it's definitely a little bit more luxurious than other places you could find, but it was still a decent price.
Right. So then when you walk into your apartment, what do you see? So like you come in and you have how much?
We have a decent amount of space. You walk in and it opens up to the living room and it's like just an open floor plan out here. It's like we've got our couch and the TV and the TV stand and everything. And then behind our couch is the table that I'm sitting at. And we have floor to ceiling windows, which we love. So it's just all like this open floor plan.
Casually mentions floor to ceiling windows.
It's
very casual.
we loved that about this unit too. So there's that. And then our kitchen is in like a little nook, but it's still open. Like there's no door to it. The whole room out here is just an open plan. And then our 2 bedrooms are next to each other further back. And my bathroom is in the hallway. We have a 2 bed, 2 bath. And so there's one master and the bathroom is in the master. And then there's a bathroom that's right across from the second bedroom, which is in the hallway. And that's
so
it.
I went to your apartment. I was in awe because you also have a balcony, which you forgot to mention.
Yes, I did not mention that.
You have windows, you have all this space, you have a kitchen table. I don't have a kitchen table. How did you figure out how much you were going to spend on your apartment?
Well, I had a budget. And I knew I wanted to spend, I think it's 40% of your income or 30 or 40% of the income. I should probably get that right. Is it 30% of my income. So I figured out, what my maximum was, and I didn't end up going over the maximum. I really did not want to go over the maximum. And so we agreed, my roommate and I, on a number that we would each spend. And we looked at buildings that were pretty much all in that price range. I think we looked at some that were like maybe a little over budget because some buildings were doing deals at the time that we were moving. We looked at a few that were a little bit more pricey and also some that were less. Then it came down to what we were comfortable with and where we liked to live and everything. Calculated it based on like the 30% of my income.
And so with your 30%, did you calculate utilities into that? Are your utilities covered for your building? Like, how does that work?
So for this building, I did calculate it into that because all of our utilities are included besides our like Wi-Fi bill. So that's paid separately. So I just made sure that utilities and everything were all included in my maximum, so that even with that, I was still under
the 30%.
Or at the max.
Yeah, that's what was so hard for me was that we were moving into a remodeled townhouse. And so we had no idea what the utilities were going to cost us.
Right.
South Boston real estate moves extremely fast. And if you didn't sign on something, you weren't getting anything.
Yeah.
And so being that I'd never been here before, I was kind of under the impression that I had to sign here. And if I didn't sign here, I wasn't going to live anywhere. And so I signed here, not knowing what the utilities were, knowing that the 30% rule was kind of where my budget was coming from. And I was kind of like already at a borderline of my max budget and the 30% rule. And I was like, all right, well, how are my utilities fitting into that? Are groceries a utility? Like I still was kind of unsure.
It's hard to figure out
what the 30% really
I check my budget a lot. I mean, I use Excel or whatever, Google Drive sheets to just make sure that my finances are set and everything. I mean, adulting is real and you have to it's all your own money on your apartment. Like you got to make sure that you're comfortable. So
So
especially with your
since your
lifestyle
utilities are
and
covered by your building, I'm guessing that you're not really like conservative with your water usage.
well, they're
or
not
your
covered by
electricity
the building. That like so besides the Wi-Fi, like it all just came as a package. So like
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I guess that was my bad because I count that as part of as the rent. There's a utility package that's
Okay, so
included, but it's
explain your utility package because I've never heard of that.
so the utility package is like it usually at a lot of these buildings it will exclude one or two bills or something like that, but it will include everything else. My building, they do like water, electricity, gas, and
Okay.
then we pay Wi-Fi separately. So that comes as like a bundle, and then that's a certain price every month, and then we pay the Wi-Fi separately.
When you set up the Wi-Fi, did you have to go and get your own router and stuff, or did the building help you with selecting a Wi-Fi plan or anything?
They actually only let you use like one provider. And
Interesting.
so, which is nice because at least like you have some direction, but
Right,
so like it happens to be more expensive than what we could be paying. So that's a
right.
little bit frustrating. The building helps you set that up.
We had to figure out everything on our own.
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
was nice.
where do you find the electricity provider? Where, like,
Yeah.
how do you find what the best internet provider is? It was so overwhelming. And it was like, I just signed on to this apartment and now we have all of these additional things that we also have to take care of that also I have to apparently pay as a utility.
But when you're in a building like this, when you lease from like the leasing office in the building, they're very helpful and like on top of it, and they tell you everything that you need, which is nice compared to somewhere that
Landlords
where you're
that
like,
don't.
exactly. That's just different. I guess that's the difference between like renting from somebody versus leasing these apartments that just turn over every year.
So how did you sign on to your apartment? Was it kind of like, I know for me, it was if we weren't signing on it, somebody else was signing immediately after us, and then we were screwed if we weren't signing
Oh
on it.
yeah, totally. That's the same. So we toured it and then I was still trying to look at one more place, to be honest, because I just wanted to like see all my
Have
options. But
options.
yeah, I like to have my options and it takes me a while to make a decision. But my roommate really loved this building and actually she had seen it first without me and sent me videos because I was out of town.
Mhm.
But we knew that we needed to sign. And there were only like I want to say like 2 units open of like the 2 bedroom floor plan that in my building. So we knew we had to sign pretty soon. So she came here and toured on like, I want to say like a Friday, Thursday, Friday. And then when I got back in town, which was like the next like Monday or Tuesday, I came to see it. And then we signed like a day after I saw it within a week.
Fast turnaround. It's so, and it's very daunting to do
Yeah.
because it's like you're signing
Big
away for an
decision.
entire year and
All this
something could
money.
happen.
Yeah.
Like with COVID and everything going on, like you could have gotten sick with COVID and like moved back home because you didn't want to.
Exactly.
A lot of things can happen in a year. And
Yeah.
for me, that was like harder of a commitment to do than to signing onto what college I was going to go to or
Yeah.
like what job I
Because
was
this
gonna
is
accept.
your
For whatever
exactly.
reason, me signing that lease, I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
it's definitely very scary. It's a big decision, and that's why I wanted to like take my time to be sure of it. I was definitely a little hesitant about like, oh my God, I'm going to be spending all of this money, and it's my own money for the first time, like every single month, and you have to pay it, or you're going to be kicked out and
Ooh,
probably in a
I
lot of
know,
trouble.
I
So
know. Did you
yeah,
have to pay
but
first month, last month, and then like a broker's fee, or did you only have to pay a first
no.
month and a deposit? How did yours work?
We're lucky here. There's actually no broker's fee. Actually, it kind of depends on like who you use, but there's no broker's fee. But what I should say is that my roommate and I, we actually use an agent because one of my sister's friends is a real estate agent. And so he helped us look
Oh,
at
that's nice.
apartments. So it's very nice, but we don't have to pay him out of pocket. What happens is like he gets paid from the building. None of that comes from us, which is very nice, or directly from us.
Oh,
But you pay like we paid a application fee and then we paid, which was like a few $100s, but we split it.
oh wow.
A few $100s total, but we split that. We paid, let's see, I moved in like November 21st. We paid just from then on for the month, 10 days of the month. So it was definitely like a lot less than it would be.
Right.
But then like, so we paid November 21st, then we paid again December 1st,
Yeah,
because it's
that's
the first
brutal.
time.
That's brutal.
But we don't have to pay, anything and the full month's rent or whatever. It's just from whenever you
Yeah.
move in to the end of that month, which is nice.
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
insanely nice. Because
Mhm.
for me, I had to pay first month, last month, and a broker's fee, which is 1 month's rent. So I had to pay
That's a
3 months
lot.
rent before I even moved into this apartment.
I did not know that.
Set foot into the store. And I was like,
That's a
what am
big
I getting
commitment.
into? I knew Boston was expensive.
Boston's expensive, but they do that. I know there's the broker's fee in New York too when you're signing onto the apartments and everything, and it's a lot, but it is nice here that
I had
a
never
lot of
heard of
time the
it
building
before. I was
pays.
like, broker's fee?
I
Who is
know.
the broker? I found this apartment on Facebook. What's going on?
Exactly.
Like
I know.
no broker showed me around. I was like, oh, look how lovely the design on the inside is. I'm like,
There's
you
always that
posted a
fee
video
here.
on Insta or on YouTube or on Facebook. Like,
Yeah.
congrats.
I can't believe that you found it that way, but you ended up like so lucky. Your place is so nice and it's all
Yeah.
redone and it's spacious and like it's a
I
perfect
know.
setup and you're in a great area. So
I am
like it
very,
worked
very
out.
fortunate. So my apartment building is a walk up. In every building pretty much in South Boston is a walk up.
They all
There's
looked really
one
similar.
high rise. I know one person that lives in it, and I've only met one person that lives in it. So kind of weird environment to have a high rise in, considering that everything else is a walk up. But mine's a 3-story walk up, and I share it with 3 other girls. We have 3 bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, an open floor plan on the first floor, in-unit laundry. We also have a backyard, which is
Yeah, your backyard's
nice.
amazing.
Yeah,
so
we have a massive backyard that I would like to utilize a little bit more.
Yeah.
But Kenzie, do you have in-unit washer and laundry? Ooh.
Yes, I do. That's a really nice feature. That was something that the 2 things that my roommate and I really wanted were, I mean, we would have budged on the laundry if it wasn't in unit because not all apartments have that, but we really wanted a doorman. That just made us feel safer, like coming in and out of our apartment, especially because we're like all the way downtown. And so we weren't compromising on that. So we are in a like pure building, which is what we wanted. And then we have the washer dryer in unit, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's so nice. What other amenities? Because I mean, you have the water part, not pool. What did you call it?
The water feature.
The water feature.
Yeah. So we have a deck is more of like what I would call it. Like there's girls out there and there's places to sit and like sunbathe. And then there's the gym. There's like large like game room with like a pool table and
that's so
a bunch of like couches where people can hang out. Yeah, not a lot of people utilize it, I don't think. I walk past it every time I go to the gym and there's never anyone in there.
What's in your gym? Is it a pretty nice gym, or like how would you compare it on a scale of like hotel gym to Equinox?
I would say it is a very close to a hotel gym, but it's nice, but it's pretty small. And so there's 4 treadmills, 3 bike, free weight, and like a rower and some ellipticals, 1 or 2 ellipticals, 1 rower, the 3 bikes, and then the weight rack and everything. So
that's a pretty solid.
It has, everything you need, but it's just not that big. So I think only a few people can be in there at a time, or else it's like you're crowding around the weights and there's nowhere to do like abs or anything. It's pretty tight, but it works. It's very nice.
Yeah. So wait, also, I know you have a parking garage. Do you have to pay for parking? Do you have a parking pass? Like, how does that work?
You have to pay for parking. So I don't have a car in the city, but my roommate does. And I know that you have to pay for that monthly. That will come like with the first of the month bill and everything. You don't get a parking spot like reserved for you. You get like a little pass that you just have to come in and out of the building with.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
When I moved to Southie and was trying to
parking is trouble there.
It was horrible. I remember I was bawling my
It's very different.
On my like move.
I remember you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible
tough.
because I had a Georgia license at the time, an Ohio license plate, and my car was registered in Ohio.
And they don't let you.
And so like everything was soup out of alignment. And my dad had the registration for my car, so it wasn't even my name. And then in order to have a South Boston parking sticker, which you need to park on the street, I had to have a Massachusetts ID, and I also had to have a Massachusetts license plate. So
they make you go through the ringer there.
The RMV during the middle of COVID in Massachusetts and try and figure out how
when you were moving
things. And first of all, I had to make an appointment at the RMV, and the RMV was booked out for months. So how I got an appointment?
What are people supposed to do? Yeah.
And there was this weird thing. You had to be an insured driver in Massachusetts also. So I had to buy insurance in Massachusetts, which no problem, like was going to do anyways. But Massachusetts has this weird law where you have to get your insurance stamped by your provider. Stamped.
Okay. So you have to do everything in person.
So I had to go and find my insurance provider to have them stamp the document.
Oh
And I
my
had no
gosh.
idea of this. And it was scheduled around the same time as my appointment that I was supposed to go and get these documents printed off and get my registration switched over. So there was a lot of things and balls up in the air. And then even after that, you can't get the South Boston parking permit at the RMV. You had to go to City Hall to go and get it. And I was like,
Why are
if
they?
I'm parking somewhere, I'm in a car. Why can't I get it from the RMV? What is going on?
That was a lot of trouble just to get that. And so you had that on top of finding an apartment
And
and
finding out
all
who
of
my
that stress.
utility providers are going to be and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
And then you
Like,
had to deal with the car.
moving in was no joke. It was
I don't
honestly,
know all of the details, but I do not think it's the same here at all because there is street parking depending on where you live, of course, but a lot of it's garages because of the
yeah.
high rises
So
in the area.
there's no high rises in South Boston, like I said,
Right.
except for the one. And they have a small parking lot in their back area. There's no garage.
And that's it. Yeah,
And
it's so
so
different because you guys don't have like the driveways with where you park your cars.
I know. And
Yeah,
it's
that's
horrible
not the
because
same.
in the wintertime, the street parking is so bizarre because when someone pulls out of a spot, there's a snowbank in front of their car and a snowbank behind it. So you're like,
So there's just no space.
constantly looking for a spot if your spot was taken that your car would like.
So basically, you
fit
just never want to drive your car because you don't want to lose your spot.
Exactly. And then there was also this unspoken written rule that you could just set a personal item in your parking spot.
Are you kidding?
And then come back to it at the end of the day. And no one would, like, if you shoveled out that spot, that was your spot.
Did you ever do that? Like leave something there?
I left a cone. So before I moved
That was
here,
smart.
my dad gave me a cone. And so I just put the cone there.
Should have put like no parking.
Yeah, exactly.
A no parking sign.
People put beach chairs. People put like crates down. People put
Oh my gosh. And that works?
Yeah, and
no one will touch it?
parks there. It's like an unwritten rule. And if you do, people like will toilet paper your car, smash eggs.
Oh, I'm
on your
sure.
car.
Like leave you
like people vandalize your car for parking in their spot. But that's only Southie apparently because there's signs in the South End that are like, just because you shoveled out your car doesn't mean you get that spot back.
Okay.
Everyone shovels out their car.
I'm sure it's a huge problem in that area.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll stay in the comfort of Southie then and never head over to the South End. But yeah, parking is miserable. And then if you want to park in a lot because you can't find any parking, like if you come back to Southie and the sun's down, good luck finding a parking spot because that's horrible. If you want to park in a garage, 20 minutes away. So what am I gonna park in a garage and then Uber back to my
taxi?
house
Yeah.
Uber back to my car in the morning?
I mean, it's so inconvenient.
Absolutely inconvenient. So my next apartment will definitely have a parking spot.
I think that would help a lot.
I would rather
so where do you
have
have to
a
move for that
than have
though?
laundry in Unilaundry, 100%.
Oh, it's not that big of a deal to just like go to the basement or the top, wherever their
Yeah.
laundry room is, but it sounds like a big pain in the ass to go find parking.
Oh yeah,
and also like
it would like impede me from wanting to go and do things after work.
Totally.
That we're out of town
I would
because
feel the same way.
You can't find a parking spot when you come back.
Yeah.
What am I gonna take like the T or public transportation everywhere? Perhaps, which is what I did end up doing when I joined my kickball league. I would get
but you had your car and like
mad.
You could have.
Yeah. I would get actually mad when my boss would have me stay late at work. Because I knew I was going to have trouble finding a parking spot. I had no problem staying late at work. I had a problem that I wasn't going to find a parking spot. That was my problem.
I don't think I would be pissed.
Definitely something that I'll be looking to have in my next apartment. And then if you do want a parking spot in Southie, because some apartments do have very narrow driveways and that they can put a car in, or they do have a lot for their apartment building and they just don't have a car. So they rent out their spots. They rent for like $400 a month.
So that's a little pricey.
So like,
and probably not worth it.
Not worth it. I'm like, I will just continue complaining to everyone and their mother about my rent situation and not actually pay the $400 to get that.
I don't think it's worth it. Yeah.
But
so where would you have to move to in Boston if you wanted to stay to actually get parking?
I could move to Seaport.
To another. Okay.
I could move to Seaport. They have a lot of parking.
Very nice area.
Yep. Super, super nice area. Definitely out of my budget zone.
But they have parking
unless
there.
I found a few apartments or a few roommates that wanted to live in my same 1-bedroom apartment.
It sounds very expensive. Perhaps.
Or I could move to like downtown, which I didn't
Yes,
think that Boston had a downtown,
of course it does.
which I was like, there's no downtown. Like it is just the town. Like this
It's
is it.
just
There's no downtown.
Southie
There was
and
just town.
Seaport and
But come to find out, there is a downtown and it's near Faneuil Hall and the theater district. So kind of like Boston
okay,
Common area. And
okay.
there's also high rises there. It's more of like the city S part of Boston outside of Seaport.
Yeah, because Southie's a little bit more like neighborhood.
Oh, 100%, 100% neighborhood. I hear birds chirping. I see
It's
bunnies
so
hopping
nice.
around the streets. And I'm like,
It's a different feel. I love it though.
it's a suburban dream, honestly.
Yeah, it
Like the
really is.
perfect combination between city and suburbia.
Right,
Like I
there's
can
still
go
a lot
out on
to
a
do.
run. Yeah, and I can go out on a run and not have to stop at a traffic light every 20 steps. And
Right.
it's honestly a
That is
beautiful
a big
thing.
plus. That's a huge plus. You can't do that here.
I know.
Yeah, a shame.
That's honestly one of the biggest pulls for me staying here another year. Because it's like I could move to another neighborhood if I want.
Mhm.
And I think Cambridge is a lot the same way of it having more of a suburban feel. Even
Okay,
though
so that'd be nice for you.
Harvard's there and there's MIT, it is sort of city-esque, but it's a lot more walkable because they want to make it walkable
Which
for
you
the
like.
students.
Yeah.
I don't think anything really compares to Southie. And that I say that in a multitude of ways.
Southie's a great place.
So how did you end up finding your apartment? Did you look on Zillow or apartments.com? Like how did you find the specific building?
I was looking, my roommate and I both were. We were just looking like for apartments for sale, downtown Chicago, within the areas that we wanted to do. I mean, I did use Zillow. I did use, it was mostly Zillow and I think it was like apartments.com.
Okay.
I'm going to have to search afterwards because I don't remember exactly, but something like that. And where you could filter for like your price range, the bedrooms, like everything. So it was so easy to use. And then eventually we ended up using our friend that was helping us look. He like would take our suggestions and then also he would like pull some of his own that he thought were like in our price range and that we would like and that had all of like the other criteria that we were looking for. So it was a mix of like us looking and then also him looking and helping us. But this one actually was something that we had found ourselves and it just like checked all the boxes basically. And it was in our price range, and so it worked.
And stunning and near a bunch of things. So yeah,
the location was good, and so we got lucky. We got lucky; it was available, and it just worked out.
And then, how was your moving process actually? Because I know you ordered like a bunch of things to your apartment. Yes. You didn't really have to move that many things. Like, was your bed frame delivered to your door, or did you have to go downstairs, like haul upstairs?
No, so it's interesting. So my roommate and I, we had different move-in experiences because she had a lot of stuff delivered to her house and that she brought here. For me, like I got a bunch of stuff that I delivered to the building, but our building, actually I shouldn't say that because our building doesn't take deliveries. So we use an address through this service called Fetch, but it's really nice because they bring it to you. So you order, your address is not your apartment address. It's this like Fetch warehouse and that's in the city somewhere.
They'll
schedule a time to deliver it. They tell you at the apartment. Like you have to, if you're ordering like before you move in, it's through Fax. So I had ordered like my bed frame.
Wait, is that the same with all
everything? Everything. So yeah, everything goes through that service. So, and if you order it through Amazon, like they won't keep anything at the front desk, so they'll send it back, and then you'll have to order it again through Fetch. Yeah, but I didn't.
Do you have to pay an additional fee for Fetch?
No, we don't pay for it. That's something that the building pays for, or that we don't have to pay for ourselves. We just use that. But it's nice because they'll bring like the heavy objects up to your door, and this service you'll either, if it's big objects, they don't want to leave at your door, they'll schedule a time with you that you'll be home to deliver it. Otherwise, they'll just leave it outside your door. But the move-in process was pretty easy it was just my mom and I. And so it was pretty easy for me because we didn't have any large items besides my couch that didn't end up fitting in the elevator. So I had to send that back. That was the only thing that we had movers for. So that was like coming from the store that we had ordered it from in the suburbs, and their movers helped like bring it to the city, and then they ended up having to take it back. So that was a bit of an expense. That was unexpected because it didn't fit. And then we had to order a new couch. Then I knew for the second time around exactly what to do. So it wasn't terrible. And then everything else was delivered. So I mean, I put everything together myself, or with my mom. Like we built everything, which
Handy
was fun, but
girl,
it took a
girls in
while.
STEM.
Yeah. I built some things before we moved too. So like I brought my dresser and my side table in the car. Everything else was just like clothes. The mattress was, and I got like a bed in a box. So that was like easy to fit in. My roommate brought like the kitchen table. Things were delivered, like my bed frame, a few things out in the living room, but that was it. So it wasn't terrible. It took us the whole day, but like to actually move in where we were like using the elevator, probably an hour and a half. So it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, that's honestly, I think it took me an hour and a half to even unload my entire car just
I'm
into
sure.
like my living room.
Well, I know you have bags on bags on bags of your clothes.
Yeah, I'm a hoarder. It's bad.
So
It is bad.
I can
I've
imagine it
been
would take a
trying
while
to downsize that, but
get rid of some things. Yeah, but
every
you have the
time I
best
go and I look
closet. You have an
yeah.
outfit for every occasion. So
Well,
you can't get rid of anything.
I've gotten rid of some things and I got rid of a lot of things when I graduated college, believe it or not. But it seems
I
like
believe
every
it.
time I lose something, like 5 more things appear. And I'm like, where did this even come from?
Maybe it's time for another clean out, a spring clean.
That might honestly have to be in order.
Yeah, I think that I may have to do the same.
I'm going to be like, okay, I'm getting rid of all these clothes and now I'm going to buy new clothes to replace them.
Exactly. It's an excuse to go shopping.
Stupid. It's stupid of me, essentially.
If you're trying to make more space, you can't go shopping. You just have to restrict yourself.
Well, good luck with that because
it's not going to work.
well, honestly, I've not been too bad about it.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't.
I don't think I've ordered new
been
clothes.
shown a bunch of new clothes that you've received. Yeah.
I know. I don't think I've ordered any
good about it
clothes since I moved here. Like I went shopping once with my mom when she came to visit.
Like when you first, and that was it.
And the only other things that I've gotten were new shoes. So I got my cowgirl boots,
the colorful shoes, the
my high top Vans. I think I just bought another pair of cowgirl boots. So
you did.
Yeah, it was an impulse buy on Poshmark. They were $60, and I was like, "How do you say
it's worth it?
$60 Ariat boots? You can't."
You need them.
So I just put a bid on them, and the woman accepted it.
And you got
it? Yeah, I got it.
That's amazing.
It was kind of exciting. I felt like I won something. I never win anything, and I was like, "Oh."
I like Poshmark. Always have good deals.
They really do, and honestly, I should start just buying my clothes from there.
Well, I sell my clothes on there too, because then you get, money back from getting rid of your stuff. And I donate as well, obviously, but things that like are still nice and that people will buy, like I'll sell every so often.
That's honestly not a bad idea, except for I don't think anyone wants to buy my like Shein tops that I've worn to bars a million times.
Or that you bought for like $10. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to buy that. And those are like
maybe not. Maybe those are just giveaway clothes. Yeah.
Yeah. So my last question is, what are the top 3 things about living in Chicago
that I enjoy?
The top 3 things. That's it. That's all.
So top. Okay.
Top 3.
Top 3. Okay. Definitely the ability to like just always find something to do and walk around. Like that's why I love the city so much. Like you just don't really get bored. There's so much at your fingertips, I feel like. Definitely that. I like the hustle and all of the excitement around. Other top thing, being so close to my friends. I feel like that's really nice, being able to just walk everywhere, because it's kind of like, it's not like college because we don't live together, but it's not like, being in the suburbs either, where it would be a trip to go like see each other. We just walk all the time, which is really, really nice, and run into each other too, like unexpectedly, which is fun. See what else? The like restaurants and bars, super fun downtown, and there's like always, good food to eat, obviously. And I would say always a new place to go, but I feel like my friends and the people that I go out with just go to the same few bars, but I'm excited to find new places.
You live in a massive city
and you only go to like 3 places. Yep. Pretty much. But there are a lot more that I need to explore, and I still need to go to a lot of more restaurants. I feel like I have barely tried anything new since I've been here. Like I'll go to the same restaurants too. I've been to one place like 5 times, and I need to venture out.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah, but those are definitely the top 3. That's 3, right?
Now, what are your least favorite things about living in Chicago?
Well, recently, so I don't mind noise. I really don't mind the noise. Like obviously I knew living in the city there was going to be like sirens and a bunch of like outside noise, even when I'm in my apartment. But for the past like 3 days, there has been this terrible sound outside of my apartment that I can hear. I'm only like I'm 10 floors up, but I can still hear it. I think it's coming from the train. I don't know exactly, but it comes like every few minutes. So I think it's the train. And it's just, I mean, it's terrible. So I'm hoping that goes away soon because it's just been the last few days. So, but yeah, that has not been fun. So I would say the unexpected noise. Also, strange people coming up to you when you're walking. There's definitely a very large homeless population in the city. So anywhere you go, you'll be like approached, which is a little bit uncomfortable, obviously. And like you just have to be careful about like your surroundings. And I don't really like to walk around with like my headphones in. I like to always be aware just because you never know like what's going to happen. So
yeah, especially with what happened in New York City, all of that.
I mean,
stuff
it's not
happened
here. Like it's in every city. It's going to happen in every city. But yeah, I feel like you just have to be aware. So that's definitely one of my least favorite things. It's going to be hard to think of a third because I really don't have like much besides that. I
He's a
would say,
Chi-Town girl, everybody.
yeah. So I can't really like diss the city too much. I would say something that surprised me in a negative way is that it's been hard to like meet new people that you didn't already know or that weren't friends of friends. I was lucky that like all of my high school friends moved back, so we've been able to be with each other. We haven't met like a ton of new people. It was surprising to me like that's been so difficult. I think like meeting guys is like easy and whatever, but when you're like going out, you're not like necessarily meeting girlfriends. That's difficult and trying to figure out like what to do to just meet more people and like expand my group of friends. So figuring that out through like sports that I'm signing up for, like leagues and everything. So
what sports are you signing up
see
for?
how that works out. Well, I played pickle with one of my
Oh,
friends.
yeah,
That was so much
yeah.
fun. And we met
Did
some
you meet
people
a
through
lot of
that.
other 20-year-olds playing
We met a
pickle?
few people. We did meet a few
Okay.
people, but not a ton. We met like just like when I say a few, we met like two people. But I am planning on signing up for either like softball or kickball or something for May, June-ish. That's like a bigger group and a lot more social. I mean, I've seen and I know people that have done it in the past. So I think that that will be helpful.
Yeah, that's how I met Lauren, Megan, and Claudia.
I know. Well, I should have done it last year, but I was last summer, I mean, but I was still in the suburbs, so I didn't think about it. And
Right.
obviously, like it's been totally fine, and I have, great friends, but I'm just like surprised.
Well, I mean, even at that, like I was on 3 different teams. So I played sand volleyball, and then I played kickball, and then I played.
I know you were busy.
I was on another kickball league, and then I played softball. And from all 4 of those leagues, I've only made 4 friends.
Right. It's difficult. It's not the same as college when you're like meeting people from your dorm or from your sorority or from class or whatever it is. Like, and a lot of people are working virtually. I only work, in the office once every few weeks, or sometimes like it changes and we'll go like once a week if people are feeling it, but that's just not like the place where I'm meeting a lot of my friends. It's got to be from other places that I like go out and seek myself.
Exactly.
Which
is
I know is the same with you.
It's like the majority of people that are 20 want to go out to the bars, and like you said, you don't meet your girlfriends out at the bar.
Yeah, which is a shame. I feel like we could change that and just start talking to each other.
It's so weird. It's like almost, at least in Boston, it's like if you go up to another girl group and you're a girl, they either think that you're being flirting with them or you're like trying to invade their girls' night. Like,
yeah, it's so hard.
Out with the group, you don't want to be.
You don't want to be approached like you're not looking. Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's such a weird environment. Because it's like, okay, everyone that's in their 20s wants to go out to the bars, but if I have no one to go out to the bars with, what do I do?
What are you going to do? Right. Yeah. Well, that's why you came up with the great idea of going to join these leagues and made friends from there. But it's difficult.
You just work at the bar, to figure it out. And then you meet the people.
Which was another great idea because you're going to meet young people there for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, that definitely surprised me about the city. Thought it would be a lot easier.
Yeah,
and that
it's so
everyone
hard.
would be in the same boat. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because you would think that the Midwest people would be a little bit more inviting and
right. Everybody is friendlier, but still it's not, it's mostly like you're meeting friends with friends. There's no like strangers connecting, I would say.
Yeah, I guess that's not a unique experience to Boston then. I always thought that,
I think it's everywhere.
People were just like, oh no friends here. And so I always was like, oh, I'll just move back down south. Everyone will be so nice.
I wonder what it was like before COVID, because I feel like that has to do with it too. Like I think it was really hard for people to make friends during the pandemic, and with all of the rules at bars and wherever else you were going where you could only like sit at your table and there's only a certain amount of people. I feel like people were really closed off. and you weren't
Yeah.
approaching other people. And it's kind of date sort of
Yeah.
with people, I think. Like you just go with who you go with.
I mean, there's a lot of things from COVID that I'm glad stayed. Like,
yeah,
I really didn't realize how much I appreciated boundaries with other people and people staying
I agree.
a set distance.
I totally agree.
I definitely
I'm not
miss that.
saying like we need to, approach like strangers all the time. I'm just saying like I think that people definitely have like a different sense of comfort for them now.
100%.
Like you're gonna stick with your table or wherever. I'll let you know how the leagues go.
Yeah, I mean, I love them because at least they give you something to look forward to. That's again not drinking, because I feel like that's
another activity.
Yeah, it's so hard to find
something healthier
with other people that involves something other than drinking. So
I agree.
In order to get out there and do kickball or volleyball or softball or whatever you end up doing, it ends up being super fun because it kind of also brings you back to this nostalgic phase of your recess childhood life of playing kickball with strangers and
I think that's what I'll end up signing up for. I'm excited for that.
It's actually a lot of fun. And no one's like, if you're good at kickball, that's kind of concerning because when was the last time you played kickball? Probably.
Well, that's why I want to play because I'm not like a great softball player or basketball player or soccer player. So like I feel like kickball is going to be the one thing that I can sign up for with a group of people and be fine.
100%. I appreciate you coming on, and
I appreciate you having me, especially as your first guest.
Flew by, like
I know, right? How do you think
it felt like one of our normal FaceTime calls, really?
Yeah, except for that this is on Zoom, so it seems a little bit more formal.
Professional.
But